In this video, we're gonna learn about software process, generic software process model with the help of umbrella activities and framework activities, how to define framework activities, how to identify task set and process flow. Let's understand software process with the help of one simple example. Ram. Ram is not feeling well. He go to the hospital. Doctor see his symptoms and to give solution to his problem, like problem is his illness. To give solution to his problem, doctor prescribes some prescription, gives some list of medicines that Ram has to take morning, in afternoon or in the evening. So this prescription helps to get the solution to Ram's illness. So this is the solution to Ram's problem, which is his illness. Now in terms of this is applicable same to the software. Now in terms of software, we can say that whenever we want to create any new software, we have some problem and software is meant for getting the solution to that particular problem, but in terms of machine. So when we want to create that particular software, when we want to perform that particular software, we need this kind of prescription. So this kind of prescription is called as a software process. A software process or a process is not a rigid prescription. It is not a fixed prescription for how to build the software. Rather, it is adaptable approach that enables the people doing the work to pick and choose the appropriate set of work actions and tasks. Means, suppose we want to create any particular software, now we should have some kind of methods how we can create that particular software, and the person who will going to create that software, they should have some kind of flexibility. Their approach should be adaptable, means at different points they can change their action. So their approach should be adaptable so that the work should be their work will be finished as soon as possible. Means their software will be completed, and according to whatever the needs of the software, we will get the software completed within a time period of that particular deadline. So the prescription for your software will be called as a software process. Now what we have in the software process, whenever we say software process, we are having this kind of framework. So a process, first of all, we'll say what is a process. Now we know that this is a kind of prescription, so it must be having some kind of list of things which we have to follow to perform some software. So what are the things it will have? A process is collection of activities, actions and tasks that are performed when some work product is to be created. Means we want to create something, we want to get the solution to some particular problem, then we follow these activities, actions and tasks in terms of your software. But we can say that activities and action seems like they are same. No, they are different. Their purpose is different. Activities, they try to achieve a broad objective. So this broad objective can be communication with stakeholders. But whenever we will say this objective, so these objectives are applied regardless of the application domain, size of the project, complexity of efforts or degree of accuracy with which software engineering is to be applied. Means now we are just applying some broad objective. What is the bigger problem and what is the solution we want in terms of software, but we are not checking what will be the code we will have, like what will be the programming language, what is the application domain, so whether that comes under your machine learning or any kind of thing. So broad means what are the higher level of things we will perform to do our this process. So these are called as activities. So just broad objective, and we are not going in much more detail. So we are not actually checking what is the degree of accuracy. So we are just checking for the abstract purpose of our software. Now next thing, once we know what is the high goal or what is the abstract objective or purpose, then we can refine that purpose. We will go into much more detail to identify actually what we want to do. So that comes under the action. An action encompasses a set of tasks that produce the major work product. Now, after communication with stakeholder, you will identify, oh, this is what we want to do. So for doing that particular thing, what are the things you will need to do in the software? So you can divide your that particular things with different things you want to do. So what are the things you will do to achieve this goal, to achieve these bigger goals? So that will be called as your action. For example, now here we need some kind of technical knowledge, or we will apply application domain. So here we will use this technical things like we can draw architectural design model and so on. Now next thing is that again this is some kind of technical thing, but it is having a broad objective. Now we will refine this into smallest things, so that we can actually go for doing activity into the software. So this will be called as a task. A task focuses on small but well defined objective. Now this objective will be, for example, conducting a unit test, writing a short code for any particular your function that produces a noticeable outcome. Now these are the things we are following in the process. Now one whole software process means in its lifestyle, for creation of the software, what are the things we will follow? So there are basically 5 activities are performed. Each of these activities, action and task reside within a framework or model. So this is the thing, framework activity is the thing which we can see from the front side, like what we can do from the front side, what are the activities, what are the action and task. Now let's understand this. Now here this is the generic process model what we are having. Each framework is having activity that is populated by a set of software engineering action. Now one whole particular activity will consist of, now activity has broader objective. It is not going into much more detail of technical things, just we are having broader objectives. And then in that again we are having multiple actions. What are the action need to be taken? Again in one action we will have small task what we want to perform. Now in one task set we can also have like what is the work task we have to do, what are the work products, what is the quality assurance points. Now each software engineering action is defined by task set that identifies work to be completed, product to be produced, quality assurance points and milestones to indicate the progress. So we must be having what are our milestones, or what is our deadline for achieving that particular task, smaller task. So in total we can say that software process we are having. So purpose of software process, why we are doing whole this thing, why we are dividing our whole process, whole software goal into smallest possible things, so that we can work on the smallest possible thing. Then we can check whether we can deliver our software in timely manner and within sufficient quality to satisfy those who has given proposal for the software development and those who will use software. So just to deliver our software in timely manner and to ensure the quality of our software, we use this software process. We again have different software process model. Generally we have, in most of the cases we have waterfall model, rapid application development model, spiral model. These all are the examples of software process model. So all of this follows this kind of things where each of this are divided into some kind of activities. So process framework activity. So let's understand what we are having in this process framework. These are some kind of framework activities. Now these are the process framework activities. These are the activities which we can see. A process framework establishes the foundation for complete software engineering, and it encompasses 5 activities. So it is having these 5 activities: communication, planning, modeling, construction and deployment. Communication is the very first process, where communication is communication with customers or stakeholders to understand project requirements for defining software features. Next is your planning. Once we identify what thing we want to, what is the problem then we can easily get this solution for that particular problem. Then to get the solution for that particular problem, we plan what will be our deadline. So software project plan, which defines workflow, what is the task or what is the work we want to do, that is to follow. It describes technical tasks, risk, resources, product to be produced, and some work schedule. Now after that, once we have all of these things with us, now then we can go for modeling this thing, so that we will get very less failure when we will actually write the code for it. So modeling, creating models to understand requirements and shows a design of software to achieve requirements. This we use this modeling phase. Now in modeling phase, we draw this different kinds of diagrams, use case diagrams. Some of the examples are use case diagram, ER diagram, then class diagram, UML diagram are the examples of your modeling or creating models of software. The next step is your next activity is your construction activity. In this construction activity, you actually write the code. You try to go for constructing your software. The software it is not manufactured, it is coded. So we write the code for your software either manually or automatically, and we test it, so that we will check what is the accuracy of our software, and we can uncover errors in the code. Now next thing is that once all of these things is done, the next thing is that we should deploy our software into the customer's machine. We deliver software to customer, and also just we check the what are the hardware requirements for that customer, and also when we deliver it to the customer, we also take feedback from the customer, so that we can perform some kind of additional things on that particular software, so that our customer will be happy. So we collect feedback from customer based on evaluation, and later on we give support for that particular software. So we do maintenance and all these activities. So these are generally 5 broad categories of your framework activities. In different software process models, we mostly follow all of this 5 different process framework activities. Now this is the thing we can see, like what we are doing in the software, what are the different activities we are performing in software. Again, for in each activity we can go in much more detail. So we can say, like when we are writing the code, we can write it into the Java program or in different kinds of programs. So again, in that, suppose we are writing the Java code, in that we will have classes, objects, and so on. So again, in this higher activity, we are again having different smaller tasks we need to perform. The next thing is that some of the activities are hidden. So some of the activities applied throughout the software project, which help the software team to manage and control progress, quality, change, and risk. But these are not visible to us, they are performed in the backend side. So the umbrella activities are those which keep running in the background throughout the software development. These activities are called as umbrella activities, which give support to your this software. Just for example, we can take umbrella helps us to protect from the rain. The same way, some of the activities are there which protect us, our software, to ensure the proper quality and to control the progress of our software. So it establishes skeleton architecture for software engineering work. So these are some of the examples of umbrella activities: software project, tracking and control, risk management, software quality assurance, and so on. So let's understand this umbrella activities in detail. So there are 11 to 12 umbrella activities. Software project tracking and control. It allows the software team to access progress against the project plan and take any necessary action to maintain the schedule. Next is risk management. It assesses or evaluates risk that may affect the outcome of the project or quality of the product. Software quality assurance. It defines and conducts the activities required to ensure software quality. Technical reviews. It assesses a software engineering work product in an effort to uncover and remove errors before they are propagated to the next activity. Means the technical reviews means are the things whenever we do reviews, whenever we are performing any kind of software work, so we just try to check whether our software is going in a well direction or not. So technically we just try to perform what are the things it is expected to do. If it is not doing that properly, so we just try to remove that mistakes or errors at that particular time, so that if we have not identified errors soon, so later on it will be very difficult to remove that errors. Next is measurement. It defines and collects process, project and product measurement that assist the team in delivering software that meets the stakeholder needs. Software configuration management. It manages the effects of change throughout the software process. Reusability management. It defines criteria for work product reuse, including software components, and establishes mechanisms to achieve reusable component. In most of the cases, what we do, whenever we are writing any software, we just check whether our software can be reused, whether some of the components can be reused. So we check if some of the things is already available, we never go for creating it from the scratch. Work product preparation and production. It includes the activities required to create work products such as models, documents, log, forms, and list. So, generic process framework. As we discussed before, a generic process framework for software engineering defines 5 framework activities. These are communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. In addition, we already covered, apart from these activities, we also have some of the activities which are running in the background of our software. So these are set of umbrella activities. These are project tracking and control, risk management, quality assurance, configuration management, technical reviews, and others are applied throughout the process. Now next question is, how the framework activities and the action and task that occur within each activity are organized with respect to sequence and time. So how these activities and how these things are arranged and how they are performed within the time. So for this we can see the process flow for this particular answer, how they are arranged and how they are organized with respect to time. So this is our things. Process framework are the consist of different activities which happens in our whole software. So these are communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. Again, in each activity we are having some broader goals. They are called as action. In each action we have small different works need to be done. So these are called as a task. And this can be arranged, your whole this activity can be arranged in different sequence and their time in where they can complete it. So this sequence is also, their organization is also different. So generally we are having 4 types of process flow, how we are arranging whole these activities with respect to sequence and time. So first is our linear process flow. It executes each of these 5 activities in a sequence. One after other, all of these activities will be performed. Communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. Now next thing is an iterative process flow. It repeats one or more of the activities before proceeding to the next. So suppose we can say like we have done planning, but we are not very sure that whether our planning is very good or not. So we just try to refine whole these activities. So what we do, we repeat one or more activities before going to the next activities. Suppose at this particular thing we understand that like this thing is not very correct. So again we go and take the requirements from the customer. We perform communication and we do the planning, so that our output will be very correct. The next arrangement is your evolutionary process flow. It executes activities in a circular manner. Each circuit leads to a more complete version of software. Suppose at the very first we are having only one small requirement, so we try to complete whole that requirement. Now next time we know that particular risk or any kind of requirement. So for each pass we just try to complete our software, so that our software
for in each version our software will be a good version. Next is parallel process flow. Now it executes one or more activities in parallel with other, so that modeling for one aspect of the software in parallel with construction of another aspect of the software. So like at the same time we are performing different activities, so we are dividing so that our time will be reduced. So this is our parallel process flow. How this activities, process activities will be performed, what is the sequence of their arrangement, and what their organization with respect to time. Now once we know like how we can arrange whole this thing, now actually we actually need to perform this kind of things. So how we can write the framework activities, how we can write the task, and how we can go for performing the task. The next thing after this will be how we can write this, how we can define the activity, how we can get the one either any of this thing should be get done. So defining framework activity. Now one, before you can proceed with the process model, before actually whenever you will decide like I want to use this particular model, waterfall model, spiral model, or any kind of model, what we do, we first of all have a key question: what actions are appropriate for the framework activity? Now what is a bigger kind of goal you want to achieve, and what is the nature of your problem, what is the characteristics of the people and the stakeholders. So you identify like if people and our stakeholders for which we are creating or delivering software, so if they are very sure, we can go for waterfall model. If they are not very sure what is the expected thing they want to do, their requirement is changing from time to time, so we can go for the another software process model. So based on the nature of the problem and the nature of characteristics of people stakeholders and what is the appropriate thing we want to create in our software, we can choose this, we can define this framework activity. So task set defines, now this is the whole one big activity. Now inside that we have task set. What it does, so it defines actual work which is to be done to accomplish objective of that particular engineering action. So what for example we can say what we can have in that task set. So it has a list of tasks which is to be accomplished in one particular activity. Suppose if you are performing communication activity, so inside that communication what are the things we will need to do, what actions we will need to do. We have to go to visit our customer, we need to perform a communication with the customer. So there are multiple things we need to do to get to complete that particular communication activity. Now list of work products to be produced, list of quality assurance filters to be applied, and so on. So just take one example of task set. For example, a small software project requested by one person. We are having only one person. He or she needs only one particular software with a simple requirement. The communication activity might encompass little more than a phone call with the stakeholder. Now suppose there is only one customer and his or her requirement is very simple. Suppose he just want to perform any particular software which is just a calculator software. Now in that case we can say that there is no need to arrange any proper meeting or any kind of bigger thing. So instead of that, communication could be performed on a telephone call. So therefore only necessary action is phone conversation. The work task in this action will be, now suppose if you want to create the software and this is your customer, so you will perform only telephonic phone conversation, and also in that what are the things you will try when you will give call to that particular customer. So you will need to do all these actions. So these are: make contact with stakeholders via telephone, discuss what is the requirement, and just write down all these things or take a notes. Then organize these notes into brief written statement of requirement. Means suppose he wants like I want calculator with addition, multiplication, subtraction, whole this feature should be there in my software. Okay, we should write down whole this requirement. Once we are writing all this requirement, once we have written all these requirements, what are the things actually customer wants, Now after that, we need to organize all these requirements, all these features in their order. Their highest priority should be given to which particular thing. In based on that, we need to organize all these requirements. And next thing is that once we have identified all these things after telephonic conversation completed, so that after that we need to do all these things, and again to cross verify that whether this is the actually thing our customer is needed. So we need to do email to the stakeholders for their review and approval. Okay, now after telephonic conversation we have written all these things, and we will write it down from our side, and we will again go instead of going and visiting to that particular customer, what we will do, we will write a mail and we will say, okay, this is what you want, and this is what your problem is, and this is the thing you want. So is this correct or not, so that we can go for performing a task on that particular software. So if we get the approval, we will proceed for the work for that particular software. So this is just the simple activity we will perform for the small software. That activity is the communication. Now again, if you are having some simple project, so in that case our elicitation is generally a kind of requirement gathering, and stakeholders are individual group or organization who is impacted by outcome of the project. So this could be our employee, manager, whole the person, whole the organization, or any different kinds of people which are involved in that particular project, who are having some kind of interest in that particular project, to get the project should be done in a successful way. So all these people or organization will be called as a stakeholders. These are the examples of stakeholders. We are having internal stakeholders, could be employees, manager, owners. Some of the external stakeholders could be government bodies, societies, suppliers, and all this. Now for simple project, our task set, what are the things we will need to do to perform requirement gathering? We will write down what the things we need to do. So this could be make a list of stakeholders for the project. The next, invite all stakeholders to an informal meeting. Ask each stakeholder to make a list of features and functions required. Then we will discuss requirements and build a final list. Prioritize requirement. Note areas of uncertainty. So this is just a simple, like we have just performed communication with each and every person or organization who is involved in that particular software success. We will get the requirement, what are the actually thing they want from them. We will prioritize requirement, and note areas of uncertainty means we will write down like this is the thing though customer wants, but this is not achievable, so we will try to check for this particular thing. So this is about your this thing. And if we go for the bigger project, this could be this thing, communication thing and requirement gathering will be divided into different again subtask. So these are some kind of task set. Both do the same work with different depth and formality. So choose the task set that achieve the goal and still maintain the quality and agility.